Oh, nightmare.
Hi folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always a huge thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan, and thank you for joining me in not only this week's but the first of 2020's Thursday's Thoughts. As you saw at the outset of this video, I set off to the woods and realised that I'd forgotten something en route. Now I think there's a big difference between getting there and realising you've forgotten something and realising you've forgotten something whilst you're driving there. Because there's always that question in your mind, isn't there, when you're driving there? Should I turn round? Can I go back and get it? Could I do without it? And that's what this week's Thursday's Thoughts video is about. What would I turn back for? And what would I just put down to experience and carry on with? I've been thinking about this question then for a few days, and there's a few obvious things off the top of my head that I thought to myself, would I or wouldn't I? So I thought I'd share them with you. Firstly, my knife. If I was part way to the woods and realised I'd forgotten my Garberg carbon, my Bushcraft knife, would I go back for it? And the honest answer is, probably not. Depending on how far I'd gone, of course. I think this is a big question. If I'm round the corner, I'd go back. If I'm almost there, I wouldn't. But I think, generally thinking, I think I wouldn't go back for it. I've spoken before in one of my videos, I'm linking to it up in the top right-hand corner. I've spoken before about whether I would, what I consider to be non-essential, essential kit. There's times I've been into the woods and my knife hasn't even come out of my pack that I pack it into for travelling there. It hasn't even seen the light of day sometimes when I've been in the woods. So I think there's something of a misconception and a fallacy that you need to have your knife on your belt when you are in the woods. Certainly it's a bloody good idea, but to be honest, if I was already over halfway there and I realised I'd forgotten it, I probably wouldn't go back for it. I might just have to adjust what I was expecting to do in the woods that day. So knife, no, depending on how far I'd got, I'd probably carry on without it. I'm thinking now about food and water. If I was going out for the day and I forgot my food that I was taking out with me, I'd just deal with it. You know, we've all skipped a meal or two and it's not the end of the world, so it probably wouldn't be a big deal if I was just going out for the day. I wouldn't turn back for my food. Would I turn back for my water? That's a bigger question, of course, isn't it? It's a more important question. Would I go back for my water? Again, depending on how far I was to the woods, again, I might just crack on without it. I'm discounting here the fact that I could stop en route and buy some water and buy some sandwiches or something like that. That's quite a likelihood with the route that I take to get to the woods. But broadly speaking, if I forgot my food and water and I was going out for a day in the woods like I normally do, I probably wouldn't turn back for it. It might be quite an interesting experiment to actually go there with no water, to find some and to filter it through my brown bag, which I always carry with me, into my mug, which I always carry with me, and sterilise that over a fire. So it might actually be quite a forced, a somewhat realistic but contrived experience to actually go out with no water. But generally speaking, no, I probably wouldn't turn back for that either. What about my layers of clothing and my waterproof jacket? If I was going out and it was raining, and it was raining heavily, I think I probably would. To be honest, I think I realise and recognise the dangers of getting wet and staying wet for the day, so I think I probably would turn back for my waterproof jacket. If there was a risk of rain, if it might rain, if it was likely to rain, I think I'd probably chance my arm about getting there, getting a tarp set up straight away, and at least have somewhere to do my sort of crafting and work underneath. So I think there's a question here about if it was already raining, I probably would. If it was a possibility of raining, however high or low the likelihood, then I might just crack on and use my tarp. In terms of warm layers, again, depending on the time of year, I may or may not turn back. There's been plenty of occasions where I've put something through the wash, forgotten to take it off the dryer and pack it, and all I've had with me is what I'm wearing, my normal coat and a waterproof jacket. To be honest, I do think a lot of the time if I think back about warm layers I take out, I would say 9 times out of 10 they do not leave my day sack. Therefore, I laws of probability, I probably wouldn't need it on that day. I am mindful of sod's law though. And then finally we come to sort of the last, potentially the penultimate crucial item. Would I go out without a first aid kit? Now that's a tricky one, isn't it? Because 9 times out of 10, it doesn't come out of my pack. But would you want to be without it? So I carry a small first aid kit in my pack, but I also carry a small cuts kit in my trouser pocket. If I'd forgotten both of them, well, one, I don't deserve to be going out unsupervised, but if I'd forgotten my larger first aid kit, I'd probably just crack on, if I'm being really honest. And there might be some people out there sort of pulling their hair out and rolling their eyes at me and sucking their teeth saying, ooh, you don't want to do that. But to be honest, I probably would. If I've got my cuts with me, 9.9 times out of 10, and I'm mindful of sod's law, if I sustain an injury in the woods, it's a cut or a nick or something like that that I can dress with a plaster that I'm carrying in my cuts kit. So if I'd forgotten my first aid kit, if I realised that en route, I'd probably just crack on. Final thing then, and this is by no means an essential piece of bushcraft kit, or is it? My phone. This is a tricky one. I'll be honest, I've kind of talked myself into saying I might turn back for my phone. And I might turn back to my phone not because I can take photographs or videos or look things up or research things or do any of that stuff that I've talked about in the past, linking to a video in the top right hand corner about the value of having a phone when bushcrafting. I think I'd turn back for it for the simple, cold, practical reason. If I were to break down, it's a means of getting some help. If I were to become injured in the woods, it's a means of getting some help. If Willow the dog were to run off in the woods, it's a means of getting some help. So yeah, I'd probably turn back for my phone. Having said that, I have been into the woods before, had my phone with me, taken it out, and the battery's been flat. And I've managed to go the whole day, sometimes an overnighter, with no phone. And you know what? Everything's okay. Everything was okay. I've also set off to the woods, realised I've forgotten my phone, been past the point of no return, and decided not to turn back for it. And you know what? Everything's been fine. So I guess I'm layering this video with the phrases "it depends," "sod's law," and all of those other sort of cliched phrases. You know, we could go out with all of that kit and nothing could go wrong. Equally, we could go out with all of that without all of that kit, and we could sustain an injury that needs more than just a plaster or a small dressing. So those are my thoughts on what I would turn back for, what I wouldn't turn back for, and why I would or wouldn't turn back. But what about you? Is there a piece of kit that you would consider to be part of your bushcraft carry kit that if you were to leave the house and realise you didn't have, you would move heaven and earth to turn back around and go back for? If there is, why? Why would you go back for it? Let me know in the comments below. If there isn't, let me know in the comments below. But equally, you know, if you, like I've done, if you want to add those what ifs, if this then that, or maybe or probablys, then leave those in the comments below. I read every single comment. I try and respond to every single comment as well. It slipped a bit over Christmas, but I'm going to catch back up on that now. So rest assured, if you leave a comment below, unless it's a snarky comment, unless you know better than everybody else, and there's been a few of those recently, I probably won't answer to those. But if you're being kind, open, genuine and honest, then you'll get a reply from me. Thanks as always for watching, folks. If you've enjoyed the video, if you think that my channel and the other videos that I produce would be of value to you in the future in your bushcrafting journey, then do please click that red subscribe button that's in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Take care, folks. Bye now.